BiostatDoc here. We've learned from the example document, and this time we're going to learn from the cheat sheet. Created by the makers of R Markdown and supplied within RStudio, let's see what we can get out of that cheat sheet. Stick around. Let's see what else we can learn just using the cheat sheet. The cheat sheet is available for R Markdown underneath the Help menu item of RStudio. If you pull down the Help menu item, you'll see cheat sheets and you'll see a R Markdown cheat sheet all by itself. And so I'm going to open that up and I've got RStudio running. I've got the cheat sheet placed behind my RStudio windows just so I can see out to the right. Those are the items I'm going to go over in this video. And so what I'd like to do is to just keep using with the example document, but we'll type in some new information to see what we can learn from what's on this cheat sheet. Let's start off by making our new section. And in it, we're going to type in all of the things that we can see over in this right-hand side of the cheat sheet. So the first thing it says is that you can type in plain text, which we already knew. We want to type in text into our document, we simply have to do that. Now, if we want to denote a new paragraph, it says we can leave 2 spaces at the end of a line in order to get a new paragraph. Now, personally, I like to just put in a blank line because I can see that better than I can see 2 blanks at the end of a line. So that's my personal preference, and I encourage you to do that as well. It makes it so much easier to read the R Markdown source. So here's a word in italics. We're going to note the help that they've given us over here, that a single asterisk on each side of a word will give you italics, and double asterisks on either side of a word will give you bold. And so we'll put double asterisks around bold, and we'll leave single asterisks around the word italics, and we should be able to get both of those formatting options. But what if we actually wanted to type the asterisk character and have it show up, right? So if it's used within an R Markdown document to denote the beginning and ending of italics, how do we just get the asterisk? And so it says in that cheat sheet that that's an escaped character. So in other words, in order to have it show up as an asterisk, you have to put a backslash in front of it. So instead of just typing a single asterisk and hoping that it shows up, you type in a backslash and then an asterisk, and that's how you get the actual character to show up. And so that's what it says at the end of this sample paragraph. Let's go ahead and re-knit this document to HTML and see whether it shows up as it should based on the cheat sheet. And so you can see we've got plain text. It did start a new paragraph when we left 2 blanks. It started a new paragraph with the blank line like I did, but also gave some vertical space. And so I kind of like that. If you like the text to run together, by all means, you can use 2 spaces. You can see our italics showed up in italics and our bold showed up in bold. And finally, if you follow through all the way to the end of that paragraph, you'll see that we actually did get an asterisk character to show up by putting a backslash in it. As I look at that escaped character, you'll see that the other special characters are the underscore and the backslash. And so you have to put a backslash in front of an underscore if you want to see an underscore, and you have to put a backslash in front of a backslash if you actually want to see a backslash character. Moving on from there, there's 3 basic dashes that are used in text. One of them is called an N dash. It's kind of in the middle of a hyphen and an M dash. So an N dash is used commonly to join 2 names of 2 different people. So an example might be joining together Gauss and Newton's names to describe their mathematical method. And so instead of typing Gauss hyphen Newton, which would indicate it's a single person with a hyphenated name, we use 2 dashes to get a slightly longer dash called an N dash. And so if you want to get an N dash, you just put 2 dashes in a row. Again, if it was the same person with a hyphenated name like Professor Smith Jones, we would just put a single dash in there. And then finally, an M dash is a slightly longer dash, even longer than the N dash, and it's used to separate parts of a sentence, as I've done here. And so hopefully after we render this document, we're going to see 3 different dashes in this paragraph, a hyphen, an N dash, and an M dash. The hyphen should be the shortest, the N dash in the middle, and the M dash the longest. And so we can see the N dash between Gauss and Newton is indeed longer than the hyphen between Smith and Jones, and shorter than the long M dash separating out the parts of the sentence. And so again, we can see our escaped characters that we also added since the last time we knitted the document. Okay, what else is in this cheat sheet that we might emulate? Well, we can see that you can make headers at 6 different levels, right? And so it all just depends on the number of hash marks you put at the beginning of the specification of the header. And so I've typed in headers 1, 2, 3, and 6. By all means, feel free to type in levels 4 and 5. And then I'm going to start typing in an unordered list, or what I like to call a bulleted list. And so to do that, you just start the line with a dash and then type out whatever it is that you want to be part of that entry. When you're done and ready to type in a second item in the list, you just go to the next line and put a dash. If you need to change the level at which you're denoting your dashed list, you hit a tab and then a dash, and that'll be a sub list of the bulleted list that you started. And so it should be indented in and perhaps change the bullet when it does that second level. For the ordered list, we usually type those in with numbers, and so you just do that. You just start with 1, and then whatever the entry name is, 2 with whatever entry name you need, and then if you want to have sub-levels to your numbered list, you can hit the tab and put a dash. And so let's reknit that and see how those might be rendered, at least in an HTML document. We haven't rendered it as anything else yet. And so you can see the levels of the bulleted list. It does change the bullet from a solid bullet to a empty bullet, and the ordered list changed. I basically combined ordered lists and bulleted list in that second example. And so there are many more things on this cheat sheet that you can try, and I encourage you to try them just as I've done. I read over how to do it on the cheat sheet, and then I implemented it into my practice document where I can keep those things around forevermore. I can always go back to my practice document, so I can copy paste from that anytime I need to describe a certain element of my document. We're going to cover some other things in future videos, and I will see you then. Thanks for joining us, and check in again as we continue to make videos on R Markdown, RStudio, and basic biostatistics.